Hey, what's up? We're back. Today, I want to take a look at or attempt to compare the Umnum versus the Sebenza. The Umnum is an instant classic. I think when it come out, most people were like, I don't know if I really like it. I didn't like the styling personally. Since then, it has grown on me, and it is a great knife. It really is. So there's this. If you're new to Chris Reeve knives, most of them have this real late lockup. So you're going to find that with a lot of them. Understand that some of them will only be at halfway or 50%, but most of them are going to come all the way over. And that's fine with the Sebenza and the Umnum. Actually, there is a pretty lengthy post on Blade Forums by Chris Reeve himself, who explains why this looks like it has such a late lockup when really that ceramic ball that is set in this lock bar is really only locking up maybe 75%, but it gives the illusion that this titanium bar is all the way over. Anyways, I can put a link or something in the description, sideways or below or wherever it is, if you'd like to go read that. So this is all normal, this late lockup. There's one about halfway, and this is fine. Just to ease your conscience, this is a real old Sebenza here. I think it's like made in 96, which is what, maybe 14 years old now. And it's seen a lot of pocket time, and you can see how late that lockup is. It's been there for years. And there's my cat. She's trying to get herself cut. Okay, so let's try to attempt to do this in under 10 minutes. The Sebenza versus the Umnum. I'm going to go with the plain 21 versus the Umnum. Okay, so in length, they're about the same size. If I remember right, the Umnum does have a tad more cutting edge than the 21. No, it's not by much. Big difference is the thicker blade, which honestly I don't really think is a huge factor. They both are real stout. Here's one thing that I like the Sebenza more so than the Umnum. I do a lot of light duty prying with the tips of my knives, so that needs to be pretty strong. And you can see the Umnum on top if the camera can focus on it. It's asking a lot. But anyways, you can see how thin this tip is, maybe. And this is a lot more robust. Yeah, it's not going to focus on it. You just have to take my word. This is like a needle, which is good for piercing and making your plunge cuts when you like poke into something and come on out, like maybe a bag of potato chips or something, whatever. This still works fine. I'm just saying, if you were to stab both of these in wood, tip down, and pull them sideways, this one will break before this Sebenza. So that's that. Stronger tip on the Sebenza. So I guess Sebenza is kind of up a point right now. The next thing that is huge is the pivots. This has a huge pivot, the Umnum. And I've taken it apart. The pivot is, if you can see this inside diameter right here, it is that thick, which is right up there with the Strider Bull pivot. It is that thick and beefy, so you're not going to break the pivot. True, but tell me the last time you've heard about a regular pivot breaking in any knife, not just a Sebenza. Any knife, even a Benchmade. When was the last time you heard a pivot breaking that doesn't, like, the blade will snap or the lock will give out or something else will happen? So to me, as cool as this looks, and it's nice to know that you have a big beefy pivot in there, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, it looks cool, sure, but I think they're equal. This one's stronger, but something is going to give on the knife before this pivot size matters. So if that made any sense, I hope so. So here's the jimping. You can see this is a real fine jimping, and this is kind of a chunkier, more useful jimping. Sorry about that. I don't know how I feel about the jimping. This works fine. You're gonna slip faster on this than you would this, but to me, I haven't had a problem slipping with this, so really that doesn't matter to me either. Let's see, I guess the next thing would be styling, and that is completely subjective, whatever you like. The one thing I really like about the Sebenza is all the different flavors they come in with, the unique graphics, the inlays, the wood, and if you want to hunt down some regulars, there's a lot of options. And then you go Sebenza versus Umnum, and they don't make the small Umnum. There's been hints about it in a radio interview that Chris Reeve did, but they're really not saying anything about it, so who knows if we'll ever see it or when we'll see it. Maybe it's just around the corner, or maybe it's still 2 years away, who knows. So if you want a smaller knife, you're going to have to go small Sebenza. I mean, you're probably not even watching this video because you already know all that. Let's see another thing. So we got lockup. Lockup's about the same. Oh yeah, this has the ceramic ball set on the tang and in the lock bar here. It's a cool feature. It does make the knife smoother, and you can hear that lockup, or lack thereof, of the noise. Now listen to this. So you kind of hear that snick that this Sebenza makes, and then hear this. Hopefully my children are not being too loud and you can hear it. So anyways, that's not really a huge deal either. This raised swedge is pretty useful. I didn't really have any use for it and didn't really care for it when I first got the Umnum. But as I've used it over time, I've realized that sometimes you're cutting open something maybe on a hard back, and you don't really need a sharp edge, but you need something, well, let's just say, like, if a pallet at a warehouse is all wrapped up in shrink wrap, you don't really need to use the belly of your knife and maybe dull it or cut whatever's behind that shrink wrap. But you can flip your Umnum backwards, just kind of press it against the boxes or whatever, and it'll cut right through that shrink wrap with the back swedge area. But it's not sharp. Mine's not sharp at all. I know when they first come out, they were shipping a little sharp. So I guess that's a benefit, this raised. Alright, I have a minute left. I got one more thing I want to talk about. Is the action. And I've gone over this in a few videos. See how far away, it is not terrible, but you can see how far away that this thumb stud is to the pivot, which means your thumb has to travel a little more distance when it comes around to open. If you can see, this is the center point of the pivot. You can see how closer these two are in relation to the Sebenza. Which, what does that do? It makes this act like a little short throw shifter. And just kind of, you barely nudge the stud and the blade just flies out of there. Now, partly due to the perforated washers in there, and you can adjust the tension on this. Well, we're going on to 9 minutes and 50 seconds, so I might have to do a part 2 of this video. Maybe I'll edit this one out or whatever and cut the rambling out. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Watch part number 2.